The woman walked into the Rosewood Ballroom at my engagement party wearing a dress that cost more than my car, introduced herself as Madison, and claimed she was my fiancé's daughter from a college fling 23 years ago. The entire room went silent, the kind of silent where you can literally hear champagne flutes sweating. My fiancé, Nicholas, went pale. I watched his mother, Patricia, sitting 3 tables away, sipping her martini with a smile that looked like pure satisfaction. Something was wrong. Catastrophically, fundamentally wrong. I'm Amber Westbrook, and I was supposed to be marrying the love of my life in exactly 91 days. What I didn't know was that I was already watching the beginning of an elaborate psychological operation designed to manipulate, test, and ultimately destroy my relationship. Nicholas and I met at a medical conference in Chicago 2 years ago. He's a cardiovascular surgeon. I'm a hospital administrator. We both understand high-pressure environments, demanding careers, and the exhaustion that comes with saving lives. We bonded immediately over the complete absurdity of medical bureaucracy and realized after our 3rd date that we found something rare, a partner who actually understood the work. We got engaged last fall at a beautiful Italian restaurant in San Francisco. He got down on one knee. I cried. His mother, Patricia, who he always described as protective but well-meaning, called within 2 hours asking if I signed a prenup yet. That should have been my second red flag. The first was when Nicholas mentioned that his mother had called him 17 times while he was on our engagement trip. But love is a powerful drug, and I was convinced that I could handle Patricia's overbearing nature because Nicholas clearly loved me and that would be enough. I was profoundly wrong. The engagement party was Patricia's idea. She insisted on hosting it at an exclusive venue downtown. She invited 300 people, most of whom I'd never met. She controlled the guest list, the menu, the music, the decor. Nicholas and I showed up as spectators in what was essentially a production designed by his mother. Madison appeared around 9 p.m., during dessert service. She walked straight to our table, put her hand on Nicholas's shoulder, and said, "Hi, Dad. I finally decided I wanted to meet you." Nicholas literally choked on his tiramisu. "I'm sorry, what?" he managed. "I'm Madison. My mom said you two dated in college. She just passed away last year, and I found your information in her things. I thought it was time we should meet." The room had gone completely silent. Every single person at our table was staring. Nicholas's face was doing something I'd never seen before, cycling through shock, confusion, and then anger. "I don't know you," he said carefully. "And I was very responsible during my college years. I would remember, she said you might react this way. She said you might not believe me. But I'm your daughter. I took a DNA test. It's 23andMe. My heritage is consistent with yours." She pulled out her phone and showed him something I couldn't see from my seat. Nicholas stood up abruptly. "I need to talk to my mother." He walked directly to Patricia's table. I followed, along with what felt like the entire engagement party. "What the hell is this?" Nicholas asked his mother. Patricia stood up, composed and elegant in her black Valentino. "I'm sure Madison can explain her story better than I can. Did you know about this?" Nicholas's voice was getting louder. "Madison came to me a week ago. She was very convincing. I thought it was better if you met her here, with family and witnesses, rather than having this be some shocking private revelation." "So you vetted her?" "Of course. I had her background checked. Her story checks out." "Her story," I said, and I hadn't even meant to speak, but the words just came out, "seems convenient." Everyone turned to look at me. "What?" Patricia said, her voice dripping with condescension. "Something to contribute?" "Actually, yes. Excuse me." I pulled out my phone, went directly to Madison's Instagram profile, which I'd already bookmarked because something about this entire situation felt off, and showed Nicholas her feed. Madison had exactly 3 photos that looked like professional headshots. Everything else was private. But there was enough in her tagged photos and location history to tell a story. "Madison was in Denver 3 months ago," I said, clicking through. "She was working as a background actress on a Netflix production. Then she was in Austin 6 weeks ago. According to her tagged photos, she was at something called the Austin Talent Agency." And then, I clicked to the most damning photo. Here she is in Philadelphia 2 weeks ago at what appears to be another engagement party, but look at the caption. I showed Nicholas. The caption read, "Finally met my biological father at his engagement party. It's complicated but I'm glad to know him. #secret daughter #family reunion. The man in this photo," I said, "is definitely not you." Patricia's face went absolutely white. Nicholas looked at his mother like he'd never seen her before. "You hired an actress? You hired an actress to pretend to be my daughter?" "I did it for your own good," Patricia said, and her voice had shifted from condescending to desperate. "I needed to test your character. I needed to see if you would accept responsibility for a child. I needed to know what kind of father you'd be to. To what? Future children. Nicholas's voice was getting louder. My mother, you hired an actress to gaslight me at my own engagement party in front of 300 people. Do you understand how insane that is? I did it because I love you and I needed to know that you'd be faithful, that you'd be responsible, that I wouldn't what? Accept responsibility for a child that wasn't mine? Which is actually what I did, by the way. I was trying to figure out how to build a relationship with someone I'd never met. Because that's the kind of person I am. He looked at me. His eyes were devastated. I'm so sorry, he said. I had no idea. I know you didn't, I said. This is your mother's psychosis, not your fault. Patricia started to protest, but Nicholas held up his hand. We need to talk. All three of us. In private. Now. We went to Patricia's suite at the hotel. A massive corner room with a view of the entire city, decorated with what I can only describe as ostentatious wealth. Nicholas started pacing immediately. I want to understand your thought process. Because right now, nothing you say makes sense. Patricia sat down on the edge of a velvet chair, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. I was testing you. I needed to know what kind of man you are before you marry Amber. I needed to know if you'd be faithful, if you'd be honest, if you'd take responsibility for your actions. By hiring an actress to lie to me? It was a test of character. It was psychological manipulation, I said quietly. Patricia looked at me like I was an insect. I wasn't asking for your input. Then you shouldn't have done something so brazenly unhinged in front of 300 witnesses, one of whom is quite literally in the business of verifying information, I said. May I ask a question? How much did this cost? I don't think. How much? $12,000. The agency charged me based on the complexity of the scenario. I felt my knees weaken. You paid $12,000 to hire an actress to trick your son. I paid $12,000 to ensure I knew who my son was marrying. You paid to abuse your son, I said. There's no other word for it. You psychologically manipulated him. You traumatized him publicly. You humiliated him in front of his professional colleagues and family. Nicholas stopped pacing. He looked at his mother very calmly. I think you need to get professional help. Real professional help. Not therapy to process your feelings about my engagement. Psychiatric help. Because what you did today isn't normal. It isn't something well-adjusted people do. Nicholas. I don't want to hear it. I don't want excuses. I don't want explanations. I want you to call the actress and pay her a termination fee. I want you to not contact me until you completed a full psychiatric evaluation and can prove you been diagnosed and are receiving treatment. And I want you to call Amber and apologize for what you did to her, because you didn't just try to manipulate me. You violated her. I won't. Then our relationship is over. And you won't be invited to the wedding. You won't be invited to future family events. You won't meet any grandchildren I have. You will be cut out of my life entirely. Patricia's face went through several colors. Mostly she looked shocked that her son could actually set a boundary. This is Amber's fault, Patricia said finally. She's turned you against me. No, Nicholas said, you turned me against you by proving that you were willing to psychologically torture me to test me. That's not love. That's control. We left Patricia's suite at 11:47 p.m. on the night of our engagement party. Nicholas was shaking, not from fear, but from adrenaline and anger and probably betrayal. His own mother had violated his trust in such a fundamental way. I'm so sorry, he kept saying. I'm so sorry. You don't need to apologize. You didn't do anything wrong. Your mother is unhinged. She raised me. I should have seen it coming. I should have recognized her pattern of control. Nicholas, you're not responsible for your mother's mental illness. You're only responsible for how you respond to it. And you responded perfectly. You set a boundary. You protected us. We sat in his car in the parking garage for 2 hours, just talking. He told me about growing up with Patricia. About how she'd always been controlling, about his friends, his girlfriends, his career choices. About how he'd never fully realized the extent of her manipulation because it had always been subtle. This was the first time she'd been so blatantly, aggressively wrong. I think she's afraid of losing control of me, he said finally. Now that I'm getting married. She needed to reassert power. Well, she failed. And she's going to pay consequences for it. The next morning, I woke to my phone blowing up. The engagement party story had made social media. Not because of Madison, but because someone had recorded the confrontation and posted it. By 8 a.m., the video had 2.3 million views. Hashtag Mother Hires Actress was trending. Hashtag Psychological Abuse was trending. And Patricia's face was everywhere. The backlash was immediate and severe. Patricia worked in real estate development. Her clients started canceling contracts. Her business partners started distancing themselves. She was trending as a cautionary tale about helicopter parenting and emotional abuse. Patricia called Nicholas and begged him to make a statement asking people to stop sharing the video. He refused. "You did this," he told her. "You created this situation. You're experiencing the natural consequences of your actions." She tried to contact me. I blocked her number. She tried to contact me through my work. I reported her for harassment. She tried to reach out to Nicholas through a therapist, who she'd hired before he could hire his own, asking him to come to a session. He declined. Eventually, she sent a formal letter apologizing for what she'd done. Nicholas read it once and threw it away. "I don't think I'm ready to forgive her," he told me. "And I don't know if I ever will be." "That's okay," I said. "Forgiveness is for you, not for her. And right now, protecting yourself from her manipulation is more important than forgiving her." We got married 92 days later. Patricia was not invited. She found out we'd eloped to Cabo through TMZ before Nicholas could tell her. We sent her a photo from our wedding, just one, and a message: "We're happy. We're safe. We're not interested in contact right now." She didn't respond. I think she finally got the message. Nicholas started therapy. Real therapy, with a licensed psychologist who specialized in family trauma. He's been going for 2 years now. It's helped him understand the control he'd internalized from Patricia. It's helped him set boundaries not just with her, but with other people in his life who'd also been manipulative. He sent Patricia a letter after about 6 months of therapy. Not an olive branch. Just a boundary: "I'm working on myself. I'm not willing to subject Amber to your manipulation. If you want a relationship with me in the future, you'll need to do genuine work on yourself too. That means psychiatric care, therapy, and real acknowledgement of what you did. Until then, don't contact us." Patricia didn't respond to that letter either. Sometimes people ask me if I think Patricia was coming from a place of love. If maybe she was just a concerned mother who took things too far. I don't think so. I think she was a control freak who felt her power slipping away as her son grew up and started a life without her. I think she needed to prove that she still had power over him. And I think the fact that she didn't face real consequences for most of her life meant she felt entitled to behave however she wanted. The actress, interestingly, reached out to me on Instagram after the video went viral. She apologized and explained that she'd been given a cover story about testing a fiancé's loyalty and had no idea she was participating in psychological abuse. She felt terrible about it. I believed her. Nicholas and I built a beautiful marriage without Patricia in it. We had a daughter last year. We named her Grace, partly after my grandmother, and partly because we needed Grace to move past the betrayal. When our daughter was born, Patricia sent a gift. A very expensive gift. And a card that said, "Congratulations. I'd like to try to be better. Please let me know if you're open to contact." Nicholas and I discussed it. He decided to set up a monitored visit with a therapist present. It went okay. Better than I expected. But there's a part of him that will never fully trust his mother again. And that's actually healthy. Because trust, once broken in such a fundamental way, requires more than an apology and an expensive gift. It requires genuine change. Real accountability. Actual understanding of the harm caused. And I'm not sure Patricia has gotten there yet. But I'm willing to let Nicholas try to rebuild that relationship on his terms, with boundaries firmly in place. Because that's what healing looks like, not forgetting what happened, but moving forward carefully, with eyes wide open. And never again allowing anyone, even family, to treat us as their personal psychology experiments. Not for love. Not for testing. Not for any reason at all.